Hey everybody, we're back here with another episode of the vlogs. This will be episode number 4. I said I'd do them bi-weekly, but with the paddling pursuit on a slight mid-season break as I get caught up on more videos and the success and the popularity of the last week's Outrigger training video, I decided, hey, do another one. We're gonna be doing another Outrigger canoe centric video, and this is a great time to talk about the K2N club that we have here in Hernando, Florida. The workout footage is going to be from a club practice on Saturday. It had about 15 paddlers out on the water, which is pretty good for us here. I've alluded to in previous videos that we would talk about some of the club culture, and there's a lot of people in parts of the world where they're the only paddler in their area and they struggle to try and get more people out on the water, so this is a good time to talk about that. So Hernando, Florida is in Citrus County, Florida, and we have 150,000 people that live within the county, and it's a pretty decent sized county here in Florida. Comparatively to some of the metro areas, Miami, Tampa, Sarasota, Jacksonville, Tallahassee, those counties have millions of people that live there. Per capita, the amount of paddlers that we have in our area is pretty high. It's from the success of strategizing how to build an organization more so than reaping the rewards of a flourishing, thriving, high population area. And the main thing that I wanted to talk about today was getting people on the water is as simple as providing structure as well as providing equipment. Somebody sees your paddlecraft and you tell them the MSRP value on that, their brain immediately shuts off and they go do something else. But if you can provide that person with the experience of using that high ticket item, it plants the seeds for them to make those decisions for themselves. And so being able to give that person the ability to use a specialized piece of equipment sets the foundation for them, again, to flourish within the sport. When starting K2N, that was one of the first ideas that I had was, hey, how do I get more people on the water? Well, you got to put them in a vessel, and you can't give them a bill before they even try it, right? You have to give them that experience and provide the vessel for them. So doing the math, the most economical way to get somebody on the water was a dragon boat. The cost of a dragon boat was not that high, and you can get 20 humans out on the water in a very safe and structured way immediately. And then that sets the precedence for all the things that come from that, right? We provide an OC6, we have multiple OC1s and OC2s and surf skis and paddle boards and the sprint canoe and a prone paddle board and marathon racing canoes, and you name it, we got it. And one of the reasons that we have all these things is to give that experience to people to see what resonates with them and what kind of sparks that fire that gets them started within the sport. Take away all of those resources and I would be the only person out here paddling around in Hernando, and I'd be lamenting, why is there nobody out here with me? You have to give the experience to people. Second part of that is structure. Having something that is set in stone that is going to occur all of the time is very important to get people to show up to it. And when you're first starting it, it is the most difficult. The first multiple months of starting a new concept, there's a high percentage chance that you are the only one attending these structured meetups, these practices, or however you want to structure the idea. But by having a set schedule, people can work around to eventually make it out there. It gives you the opportunity to advertise these set schedule meetups, right? And the more structure that you can provide, the more incentive there is for people to show up. It could be as simple as just paddling from here to there to see this, or hey, we're gonna time ourselves and race, or we're gonna have structured practice and we're gonna teach you how to use the thing. Whatever it is, again, you can talk about it, you can share it with your friends, and then the word can slowly get out, providing the people with vessels and providing structured practices. That segues right into our Outrigger canoe training for this week. And we're looking at a slow stroke rate with a high boat speed. One of the tough things with building up new paddlers is that inherently they're going to go slow. And if you are trying to go fast, it inhibits your workout. So you have to give your time and effort to this new person to build them up to now match your speed over a long period of time. And so that's a tough sacrifice. Most people, they only have the time to go on the water, do their personal workout, and they don't have time to train and help other people. And so the point of this workout is a way to artificially drop your overall boat speed, but increase your overall effort value. Paddling at a slow stroke rate, it gives you plenty of time to set up all the motions that you perceive as perfect. When we do things fast, it's easy to cut corners, but if you give yourself all that time, now you can hit what, again, you perceive as perfect. And as you are slowly setting up that stroke, your boat speed is gliding and losing its glide to a point where it's going slower. So now when you take the next stroke, you're creating glide, losing glide, then taking the next stroke. The amount of force that you find on the paddle is much higher as the boat speed decelerates. So the workout that you are getting from a muscular standpoint increases tremendously. Your boat speed drops, which puts you in the realm of people around you that may be new. Slow stroke fast boat is one of my favorite workouts. It is one of the things that I attribute if I am any semblance of fast or skilled on the water is from taking time, paddling slowly, and trying to make the boat move fast despite moving slowly. And the last thing that I want to talk about before dubbing over some of the workout footage from Saturday is I am not a professional. I am not as fast can be. When you Google a world champion, I do not pop up. And so bear that in mind when I'm talking about the metrics of the paddle workout. It's not a show of, man, I am so powerful and strong. It is just a platform to open up what is possible. One of the sparks that got me so interested in going fast is seeing a professional and seeing how fast they could go and then realizing, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. And that has always been what I've been striving for, is trying to emulate and replicate some of those things that I've seen over time. And so this is a great platform because not a lot of people share their metrics, right? They usually keep that information private because it's like a information arms race. If I give it to you, you can use it, then you can beat me. And I don't want that. I want to win. So I'm going to keep this information to myself. And there's a lot of people that think like that. And obviously you can see on the K2N Online Paddle School that is the antithesis of what we're here for. And so again, these metrics are something to allow people to look at and see what is possible, right? If this little scrawny nobody can paddle like this, I can also paddle just like that. So paddling an outrigger canoe and getting 5 meters or 15 feet per stroke, it's something that's very possible with the success of great movement, good technique, attention to detail, and trying to be a little more muscular on your stroke. These are things that can come from that. Something to look at if you are struggling in finding the distance per stroke, it is a breakdown of your technical movement. It is all a game of leverages. And if you have poor leverages against somebody that has good leverages, you will always lose. Slow stroke fast boat is a great way because you can't just paddle faster to go faster. You are forced to relegate your movement to a very not efficient way of moving a boat, and despite that, moving it quickly. So I hope you all enjoy the training footage. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out anytime. My email is right in the bio. And thank you guys so much, and we'll see you all next week for next week's vlog.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Lake Hernandez. So we're all lining up by our little buoy by shore. Like I said, I think there's like 15 of us all total here. All outrigger canoes, 1 surf ski. So I went into practice knowing that I'd likely be the fastest boat on the water. So the idea, setting a tempo, 35 strokes per minute was the goal. I ended up at about 37 strokes per minute when it was all said and done. So right out the gate, very long, slow, and meticulous with the movement. When you're watching it, dynamic motion, when you're doing it right, it looks like, oh man, you're paddling fast and all this. But if you really look, like the recovery time is nice and slow. We got Hank next to me, who is one of my morning training partners. And you can see his stroke rate in relation to mine, just for a general guide. So again, the main thing, feeling the connection with the water, going through big motion, and feeling the consequence of the boat moving and gliding from your actions, right? And that's one of the things that a lot of people lack in their paddle stroke, is this connection with the water, right? You're using a tool, you're moving very dynamically, and a lot of people get caught up on, if I do this and I do that and I move like a robot, I will achieve this. And it's really not about that, right? Technique and motion is a methodology to help you feel this connection with the water, but the consequence is moving the boat fast. If you're not moving the boat and creating glide and feeling that connection, the technique is useless to you, right? It's not something that is very black and white and mechanical. It's a very fluid, dynamic motion that you have to feel and integrate. And so all of the things that we talk about with positive blade angle, top arm position, moving the hips, leg drive, keeping the arm alight, all of this is a feel. And so people that pick up the sport quickly feel the water. They're able to feel their canoe move through the water, and they can feel their paddle creating this end goal. And people that struggle with boat speed, they can't tell you if they're going 2 miles an hour or 15 miles an hour. They're just sitting and trying to go through these motions without interacting with the water itself. So I think that's one of the big takeaways to ongoing success is understanding the goal and feeling your motion. We have a couple other paddlers out here in surf skis as we were going by. So looking at the workout, Ray and Gina, super fast in the OC2, paddling mixed together. And if it makes a weight, I'm going to draft it. Part of that too helps me with setting a tempo by being next to somebody. As we're coming out of the canal, Ray's a little sick, and I heard him whimper, and so I hit some extra power strokes to try to get ahead of him. The lake, super flat. I'm using a Kaiwa Draco, and it is born for this kind of water. Glides very well, has very sprint canoe, sprint kayak nose, and it's very rewarding to watch it shoot through the water each time you can see a little bit of bow weight coming off of the nose. The tie paddle that I'm using is 9.5 inches wide, and it's gigantic. It's a very big paddle. I use it for training a lot for days like this, low stroke rate. Having a big blade helps you feel that connection with the water. For race optimization, I can still use this blade, but usually having a slightly smaller blade for turning over quicker and, again, optimizing your performance is a different equation than training. So this is about 35 strokes per minute. Taking the extra time during the setup to get everything in proper position, right? You want to utilize the time. So you're paddling slow, but you're using it all to your advantage. This is our top turn buoy. There's a restaurant there called Armonti's, so we call this the Armonti's Loop. It makes no sense to anybody except for people within the club that paddle the Armonti's Loop. So I'm first one around the buoy here. Ray and Gina are right behind me. My wife and Kathy paddling the OC2. Kathy's first time out there. Hank drafting off of them. Hank was saying that he couldn't pass them, but I think he ends up doing that at the end. We got Dave out here on the water in the canoe, paddling very well. It's great seeing all the paddlers out and everybody progressing. Armonti's Loop is 7.25 miles. Scott and Susan, the OC2, they've been killing it lately. They're out there more often than me lately. 7.25 miles is pretty far for most normal people, and so building up the endurance to do this is great. Rebecca, Julie, and then our one lone surf ski, Danny, is drafting with them. Great positioning. Emily just coming back out on the water. She's our ladies OC1. And we got David in my OC1. He caught a bunch of weeds. I gave him a surf rudder. Not on purpose, but it's just all we have for that hurricane. I told him to turn around. Coming back, it's easy to get lost, and I wanted to make sure that he didn't lose his way. Brad paddling his Tempest OC2 by himself. Brad's a pretty savvy racer, so he saw a boat wake, and just like me, he's going to start surfing it. The guy slowed down the moment he saw him back there. So pretty cool seeing everybody honing their skills, taking advantage of everything they can out on the water. Back on the canal, we have Jill paddling back with us in her V7. The canal here is a little shallow, so going through, you can usually feel the boat speed and glide diminish because of that. There's a lot of theory and hypothesis on how deep the water should be. This is about 5 to 7 feet, and you can definitely feel the difference comparatively to when 10 or more feet. So just going through again, using the setup time, moving the hips, moving the body, getting everything as we perceive as perfect, and then taking that stroke, lots of power and interaction in the water. We have a lot of airboats here in Florida, and an airboat is a brick propelled by a Corvette engine, and it displaces quite a bit of water, and it's louder than the loudest motorcycle you've ever heard. Normally, these guys slow down, especially in the canal. There's fishermen, kayakers and stuff. I don't mind the boat wake, but here I'm kind of worried about, the rest of my team that's behind me, getting run over more than anything else. But that's our ocean experience for the day out on Lake Hernando. So this is coming in through the last mile, just trying to hold it all together. Doing this kind of paddling, the first incentive that you want to reward yourself with is by recovering faster, because the more glide there is, the less resistance there is on the blade. And so the higher stroke rate is like the easy way out. So you really have to force yourself to let the canoe slow down and then take the next stroke, because it's going to be a lot of resistance. It's going to feel heavy through the water. And as training goes, that's the whole point, right? There's a muscularity dynamic that we're trying to hone in on, and letting the boat slow down is one of them. Taking the time to set up better leverages each time is another one to allow you to grab more force, right? So it's very cyclical and synergistic between it. So that's paddling out here on our Montes. Slow stroke rate, fast boat. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see you all next week for next week's vlog